Yeah. So we're good to go. So I've talked about myself a little bit. So now I want you to talk about yourself. Just share, like, please tell me a bit about your life, your travel blogging, like anything you feel like important to share.
Oh, good. So my name is Sanne. I'm from the Netherlands, 30 years old, and I think I have in between travels now since 2018, I guess.
Mhm.
I actually started the blog while I was working for TUI, which is a travel
Mhm.
company. So that was quite nice to start it
Mhm.
on the site. What is maybe quite interesting is that when I was about 12, 10 to 14, I had a fashion blog when blogging wasn't really a thing yet.
Wow.
But in the end I stopped because there was no real income and you're young and you just want money instead of free makeup. But it has always been something I actually liked doing. And when I started traveling and working for TUI, I actually worked in many different countries. So I worked, for example, in Berlin, Hanover, Lanzarote, London, Lisbon. And I realized I got so many questions of my friends on, well, what are your recommendations? And I was writing everything down. And then I realized I actually like blogging. I like designing when I can. I like a little bit of the technical part of seeing if I can change things, program things. I like writing and I like photography. So why not just put it all online again while I have the time? And so that's where it started. And well, as usual, you start with what is it, 2 visitors a day, myself and my roommate. And that was, I think, it. But actually, I think I'm now over 2,000 visitors, unique visitors a day. And it's still increasing. In terms of types of travels, I really like is that it's actually always a mix between finding, well, let's say just the touristic destinations because I don't want to miss them, but also finding some nice hidden gems, and whether that's in a nice coffee bar, I really like craft beer, a nice wine bar, or kind of a hidden hike, something that not many people are doing. But next to that, I also like visiting a little bit more uncommon destinations. So I've been to Kyrgyzstan, Uzbekistan. Um,
Wow.
so
That's
always
that's
trying to find
really,
a
yeah,
mix.
awesome. I
Yeah.
mean, not many travel bloggers travel there. So
No, no, indeed. So I also see that those posts, especially Uzbekistan, are doing really well. But it's quite funny to see what has the main interest, because also my Puglia blogs in Italy are doing very well. Thailand is now, since I've been there, really increasing. So it's quite a funny mix between destinations also that are performing, I would say. I
uh
think in yeah.
am I getting this correct that you usually travel to some place and then post content about it? So you don't just generate content, like that might be not yours. So it's only personal experiences.
Yeah, all personal
Uh-huh.
experiences. Yeah, yeah, that's also what I still find important now. That it's all my own recommendations. What I always do when writing is kind of a mix between my own recommendations. I always tell where I've been, but most of the time I also add some recommendations that I've just done on research, because I always, before traveling, I like to create a map also based on other travel bloggers, kind of see the overlap on the most popular
Mm-hmm.
destinations and pin these. So even if I don't have the time to visit, sometimes I quickly mention some of these recommendations as well. So it's a little bit of my own experience, but also a summary of many travel blogs on the main things they recommend.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so you started in for this blog in 2018, right? So and looking back, like at your overall blogging experience so far, like what would you call like the biggest milestone in your journey?
Oh, very good question. Um, Well, I think actually starting to earn money, mainly at this point through Booking.com affiliates, but I still really see that picking up. And actually, well, I think it was this or last month that for the first time I was thinking maybe I should, well, definitely not quit my job, but maybe I should go from 5 days to 4 days a week, so I actually do have some more time to blog, because I see like an increase in revenue. And well, I think that for me felt like quite a milestone, I would say.
And when did you decide to go with affiliate, like with Booking.com, or maybe you have other affiliates as well?
I think that was around the time where I think it's 3 or 2 years ago now. Time I had 200 visitors a day, and I thought, well, why not just already integrated? There is nothing to lose, and especially just hoping that it would grow more. I thought I don't want to re-alter or alter all of the articles I've written before by putting in links. So let's just start with it now. And I think that was 2 years ago. But before that, I was never even thinking on, oh, I can earn money with this. It was mainly for fun, showing it. It's fun to realize that followers are picking up. That sometimes you get a nice message of your blog really helped me. That was the main thing I was doing it for.
And you've said that it's growing now, right? So it's increasing. So like in like some, if you can share some average numbers. So you started with like, I don't know, certain income from affiliates, and then you grow till, I don't know, some average number maybe.
Yeah. I think, well, it started with, what is it, 10 euros a month. And I think it has been like that for quite a while. And I would say that the last 5 months, it has been picking up, towards, I would say it's 1100, 1200 a month now.
And in your opinion, what happened? Like, what helped you to, to come from 10 to 1100?
Yeah.
That's
Uh, there's quite
yeah.
an increase. I think
Yeah.
for many bloggers, it's still not definitely not high, but it feels like something is happening, and hopefully that will continue. I think the main thing was just an increase in visitors. I remember that I was in Thailand actually in November, December traveling, and I had 250 was my record number of visitors a day, and I was writing down like, oh, my goals for the year, if I would have 1,000 visitors on one day somewhere in 2024, I'm happy. And now I'm at 2,000 half a year later. So something happened, mainly on Google, and I think the type of articles to, well, what is it? Almost times 10. And that really helped as well with affiliates, because I think, yeah, the number of visitors are kind of the main thing. And because I saw the visitors increasing, I also I looked into Google Analytics to see what are the most popular posts, and also made sure I put more affiliate links, especially in these posts.
Um, and you work on your own, right? You don't have like a writer or anything. You're still like a solo travel
Yeah.
blogger. Okay. So, and apart from affiliates, do you have any other things like you get your income from, like ads maybe, or I know, sponsored posts, anything like this?
I'm more in the process now. I would say I did some link building for companies to just include a link for a couple of months. I did some sponsored, well, not posts, but on Instagram, mainly for getting products like hiking shoes. I think those are the main things. I really decided that I don't want to do specific ads, no Google ads, just really subtle links, because personally, I hate travel blogs, and after every 3 sentences, you get another ad that you might click on. So I really decided, for me, it's just a side job. I want to offer the best content. I want to keep it easy to read, and affiliate, I think, can only add to the experience, because I only recommend things that I would normally recommend as well. And I think I'm now in the process of shifting a little bit more to, well, maybe not companies that I would normally buy myself, but I still want to be behind it, and then have a subtle link, then I'm fine. So a little bit in that process, but no ads or specific large order income sources.
So you're kind of trying to stay authentic with your blog. So no, like, not just a general view. Okay, got it. So let's dive into how your blogging process is organized. So how do you typically plan, let's say, your blogging week, or maybe a day even. So how do you do that?
Uh, Yeah, well, generally it's a little bit random as I have a full-time job as well, and I think full-time means 50 to 60 hours a week. So it's often either on the weekends or in the evenings. Generally, I have some weekends where I just want to create a lot of content or finalize one destination I've been. So what I usually do is decide on the destination I've been where I want to write all the content for. Then I start with just editing all the images and all the pictures I have, which is still more in kind of the holiday vibe that I'm in. Um, and then I export all of these. What I usually do while on holiday, but also when I come back, is create a list of articles I want to write. So a list of topics. Most of the time I start with the more detailed ones. So I always leave the kind of itinerary type of articles for last, because then it's easier to afterwards link back to all the articles you've already written. So kind of starting from more detailed to more high level there. Um, what I then do, I work in WordPress with Elementor. So I have some basic templates set up. So I always start with a blog post of actually typing the title. Usually I go into keyword tool or something like that to search for something that is close to the topic and see if there are any specific words to include. Like if you have an itinerary, again, I better say a 7-day itinerary or a 1-week itinerary when it comes to Google. So that's a bit of the research. Then I start filling in like all the main details on search engine optimization, on blogging structure, import a template I want to work with. And then I actually just start writing. Most of the time I start with the titles or the content I want in there and the pictures, and I write the text last. I think what has been changing a little bit over time, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, is that I often try to use ChatGPT or any other tool for just a first draft. So I always put in, I want these and these topics included. These are my specific recommendations. Please write a text. Usually, I think I remove 70-80% of it because it's not completely my writing style, but at least it gives some inspiration to start with. So generally, I create the full article. Most of the time, at the bottom of my articles, there are some recommendations on hotels, also dependent on the destination. As I've traveled to every destination myself, usually I already had an Excel file somewhere with potential hotels that I like best based on where I wanted to stay myself. So then I just include those with affiliate links. I usually don't visit the website for affiliate links because, for example, for booking, you just have a code you can replace in the link, which I really like because I hate it when I have to log in at a portal which potentially doesn't work. Look for the hotel. I like it when I can just click the link and then replace the affiliate ID and I can copy paste it. So that's what I do. And what I always try to focus on a little bit more now is, for example, also working with Get Your Guide to see if there are any specific experiences that match my recommendations or potential other recommendations that I can include based on a tour.
So you walk me through, I think, the main stages, right, of your blogging process. I just, yeah, I have some follow-ups, I guess,
Yeah,
for
sure.
a couple of them. So, first one, you said that after you normally after your trip is finished, you have kind of a list of ideas of what to write about. And
Yeah.
how did you come up with these ideas? So, are there like usual things that you usually, I have to write about this and that for sure, and then yeah, how this happened?
Well, I think most of the time it's mainly that list. What I always try to do, for example, um, write down the Google searches I do myself to find something. I remember that I wanted to do a hike in Thailand from a beach to another beach, and it was quite difficult to actually find the right route. So then I realized, oh, then it might be nice to do it and write something about it as well. I think what I've started a little bit more now is to also think, where could I post affiliate links when it still has value? So before, I never created posts about the best places to stay, and now I'm trying to incorporate that a little bit more, because it won't be the article that is most found through Google, but it's, of course, when it's found, it can have quite a high conversion rate. Most of the time I look on Pinterest as well, but I have to say, often I just start with the ideas I already have. And when I'm writing an article, I might also just look on Google for some input of what are others actually writing about it. Does it match my experiences? What is a completely different experience? And in some occasions, you also run into certain posts or links that they are having to other blog posts. However, I have to say, generally, I quite stick with the usuals, because, yeah, same as with the authenticity part. I like it when every article has enough value, and sometimes I feel that when you make it really detailed, then you get best restaurants in X and you only have 3 recommendations, then I feel like I can just include it in like a full article on that destination. So I have to say that generally, I think my articles are a little bit more high level, and there's quite some content in a single post.
And you kind of separate your content into this kind of high level and more like itinerary, right? Kind of articles. And are there different methods in terms of how you insert your affiliate tools there, affiliate links?
I wouldn't say different methods, because the research I'm doing is still the same. There is a different structure in what the articles look like. So, for example, let's take Thailand as an example. There is an article on a 3-week itinerary to Thailand, but there's also an article on a travel guide to Chiang Mai.
By the way, maybe you can just show it to me, like maybe you can share your screen and just to see the difference in this article, so we can just go on talking about your content.
Yeah, sure. So, it's nice that I can't use, yeah, here I can use the bar again. So just going to Thailand. I will just open both of them as an example. Let's maybe just have it a little bit so I can actually, the Zoom link is right above it, so I can't click any of the, yeah. So, for example, this is the Chiang Mai guide, where you see I always link to the more higher level article, like the itinerary that's here. What I always try to do is have a summary of what to do, the best restaurants and bar, and where to stay. Also, to have the where to stay already quite on top of the page as well. Well, then there's a whole lot of information. That's also quite, you use an icon with a heart to link to any experiences as like an additional tip, where there's always an affiliate link behind. Then there are plenty of information, and then there is an overview of the best hotels and hostels, where there are also links. So here it's a little bit more extensive. So that are generally the travel guides, where you always have a build up between best things to do, restaurants, and where to stay. Also have it on top. On the other hand, where you have an itinerary, I always link to all the more detailed articles. But then, for example, in Bangkok, I always include the where to stay. Everything else is just with a link to the page. There's no specific article about Bangkok, but as an example here with Chiang Mai, I include a link to, you can read the full blog, one affiliate as well to a day trip that performed best from the other page, and then the where to stay. So it is a little bit of a summary, but I make sure that the affiliate links still have quite a good position on the high level itinerary articles as well, but it's a little bit less extensive.
I see. And do you track the performance of the links on your pages? Like, is there any difference in terms of performance let's say from itinerary or more like high level content?
Well, what I do, I can show it. I don't really
Mm-hmm.
track it on a specific level. What I often do though is, as I mainly have affiliate links on there, and in Google Analytics, I think you can see the number of links that are clicked from every page,
Mm-hmm.
which is events, it's called. So
Mm-hmm.
what I
Mm-hmm.
often do is have a look at, okay, what pages bring the most events, because then I know it's kind of a click to an outside overview. So there I sometimes do a comparison, which, for example, also made me realize that I think there was no affiliate link before in the top 10 places to visit on the Czech Republic. And I realized there are actually a lot of users, not that many events. So that might also mean I need to include more links. I don't really track links specifically, also because I think it's quite annoying in Google Analytics, because it shows you exactly like the naming of of the link, and I'll often do it with click here, and then everything is called click here. And yeah, maybe when I would do it more professionally, I would track that more, but it's for now just not worth the hassle of changing it back for every article to something else than click here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And do you have content with no links, with no affiliate links?
Yeah, generally I
Mm-hmm.
do. It's often more specific. Need to think about one. Yeah, not that many anymore, I have to say, because now often also in hikes I try to include it. But for example, with Kyrgyzstan, it's quite difficult because there are not many. It's not something you really book
Vendors.
through
Yeah.
booking.com, and it's also not really something on Get Your Guide. And I think in previous articles, when it's really on, well, the most amazing pictures of something, then generally I don't include it. Sometimes I include a single line. I think I might have that here. Yeah, for example, then I put, it's about something completely different. It's on a hike, but at least the starting point of the hike is Koh Tao. So just quickly where to stay on Koh Tao. Then I do it even
Mm-hmm.
shorter, just to include some links, but it's not the focus.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you said that you use some tools for SEO optimization, right? So how, like, did you incorporate these keywords like into all of your content, or like you have specific ones that like, yeah, this will work good for Google, and then the other ones you kind of do it in your own way? Yeah.
No, I always do it for all of them. So I work with WordPress, and then the Yoast plugin is the free one, but at
Mm-hmm.
least you can, well, this one is now not good anymore, but I always try to optimize it. And I think Yoast always gives some examples of, does your keywords that you want to focus on appear enough in your titles, in your text? So I do that for every article
Mm-hmm.
optimization.
And so it gives you the like the choices of word, like the words. It suggests the words that you might want to use, right, for the
Uh, well, it mainly just shows, take this one, whether you chose everything yourself correctly. So with this one, for example, now I wanted to, it's about an Asturias itinerary. That's the word I think people use more often when they're searching for it. And then here they show, okay, is your meta description. You get an overview of um, how often is the key phrase found in the text, and is that good enough? Your alt attributes, well, all different, which you
Mhm.
need to do manually. But at least there is some kind of check on whether you've done it correctly manually. So that's the main reason I'm doing it.
Mhm, mhm. And do you have any other plugins, WordPress plugins here?
Let me see. Not that many. Oh, I didn't want to deactivate that one. I've not too many, and you also see I kind of need to update some of them. I see. It's mainly focusing on Elementor and Elementor Pro, so where I'm building the articles. Some for speed optimization, image optimization and an analytics plugin. So it's not
Mm-hmm.
too much, and the Instagram and Pinterest plugin.
Mm-hmm. 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 Uh, so, and normally, how often do you publish your content? So every two
Free, well,
weeks, every, yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
idea, it didn't happen the last 2 weeks, but I think the year before it was very regularly, once a week.
Mm-hmm. Like each week you have, and do you publish like you've finished with it and just publish immediately, or you kind of schedule your
I try to schedule
publication?
it. Not that it publishes automatically, but I
Mm-hmm.
just set kind of the frequency for myself that I want to post every week on a Saturday or Sunday, and then I do it manually, because when I do it manually, I can just straight away put it on Pinterest, upload it to Google already for it to scrape it straight away. But the idea is
Mm-hmm.
once a week. But often, well, I don't have any backup articles now, so I really need to get going anymore. But I always try to have a couple of backup articles also for the busy weeks, that I can just continue the 1 week post.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think it's
Mm-hmm.
also good for Google that you have a frequency that you
Ongoing,
stick
yeah.
to. Yeah, and I also try to publish all articles on a certain destination all in a row, because then they are Google sees you as an authority on a specific destination before I change the destination. Yeah, so some of these used to do that differently before, because I thought for my visitors it's nicer that destinations are changing, and then I thought they are even just searching for specific
Mm-hmm.
content, not waiting for that weekly post on a random destination.
Uh, you've mentioned that you posted like after you published it, it goes to your Pinterest as well. So how is it going with Pinterest so far?
I would say there's some that are performing well. It's not the main focus I'm having. I see most visitors are actually coming in um with Google. So I think Pinterest could be a little bit better. I think I have about 300,000 views a month, which is
Mm-hmm.
okay, but well, it's it could be more. It's not my main source. I also don't do affiliate through Pinterest. It's only
Mm-hmm.
links, and well, can maybe show it. It's
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
just the links to articles, as well as some specific images, because I see that always quite works well of actually getting yeah. So it's mainly an overview of my own content. I work
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
the free version of Tailwind as well, to publish, and there you can be in those communities. So yeah, sometimes post
Mm-hmm.
more relevant content of others as well. But I have to say it's not my main focus.
Mm-hmm. By the way, your pictures are fantastic. Like, did it like other mostly yours, or did you get it from somewhere, or uh, how like did you edit them in a way?
I did edit them. They're all mine. Otherwise, they're not published. So yeah,
Awesome,
yeah.
fantastic.
That's really still something I want to do. Shoot all the images myself, write all the text, just do everything myself. I edit them with Lightroom with my own presets and just my own editing. Not selling the presets yet. Might be something to do in the future as well, because I'm starting to receive more questions about it now. Also, visitor numbers go up, but also hasn't been a main focus.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they're amazing. That's so I kind of get it that you have people asking for your presets. Um, so getting back to like after you published, after it's gone, like let's say it's live, it's been there for a certain time. Did you go back? Do you usually go back to your content and maybe edit anything, or like doing something about your content that is already published?
Uh, yeah, not too frequently, but I think a couple of weeks ago I went back to all the Andalusia articles. So I tried to also get one destination in a weekend, for example, where I also changed the layout a little bit because I think sometimes it's just nice to refresh it, change some of the divider styles, some different things. So I rebuild it as well in a new way of how Elementor handles content. So that's something I do. Sometimes I'm extending the text a little bit. For some articles, I've added a Google Maps overview of some of the nicest places to go to. Sometimes, well, most of the time I check the links to see if the hotels still exist or at new hotels when needed. And what I'm also doing, for example, when I see nice restaurant recommendations or bar recommendations somewhere on TikTok, Instagram, I save them as well, and I might add them later because new things opened and you've just seen it at many different places. Then I add it as a recommendation as well. And I quickly check all the restaurant recommendations to see whether they are still open, and otherwise I remove them. But that's mainly for the most popular articles. I do that more regularly, and otherwise sometimes I just choose a destination to update where I see still quite some potential, because I love Andalusia. There are plenty of articles, but they're a little bit older, also from the time that the visitor number were a little bit lower, and I just see that has more trouble picking up in Google than the newer articles.
And when you say like some older articles, let's say from, I don't know, a year ago, or from what time?
I think right now it's been more in the 3 years ago, so should do that more regularly. But it's more on the 3 years ago, and the focus is on creating new content. And I think that's definitely something to improve. But that's also a little bit of a how much time do you have and do you want to spend? And then the focus is a little bit more on new articles and optimizing articles that do work well.
Also, like before, let's get back to the before publication process. So you what do you look at, what do you check during your like final editing? So maybe you look for some specific things to check on.
Yeah. Well, I'm not the most detailed person, so I don't do too many checks. Just the final check on links, just as a hover, kind of to see, did I change the URL for every new hotel that I added? I have Grammarly installed, so I always do a text and grammar check also with the free version, but at least to do that through the full article. Check whether just all the content blocks are complete, and I check whether the Google or the Yoast plugin shows everything on green. That are actually the main checks I'm doing before publishing.
From what I see on your blog, like you primarily have content for that you monetize, right? So probably most of it has affiliate links, right? So and do you have like specific goals for your for your for some articles? I mean, for example, for some of them you want more engagement so people can stay more on this page, and maybe for some other ones, just, I know, just click and book and you're good to go. So
Yeah.
do you think do you have anything like this? Any blog?
Not really. I think the main thing I want people to see is the high level itineraries, because I think those are nicest, and then they can just be supported with their trips in more detail. I think the only specific articles I have that serve a little bit of an other means is the photography articles. They're relatively simple to create, so those are also just articles if I have limited time to just well, put something online and have a first teaser of a destination before I post other articles. And more recently, the where to stay. I can see if I have one of these. I think I have it on silent as well. Yeah. These are really for a quick click and booking, because it just includes all the different hotels of the different articles I've written on the destination. So there's always a link to, well, read more about the destination, but then I just copy pasted all, well, the bottoms, let's say the hotel focus of the articles. So these are really meant to, I need to update that one, to monetize, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But everything else doesn't have a very specific reason.
Mm-hmm. 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 Uh, okay. I think that we're kind of done here. So yeah, I think I don't have any more follow-up questions for now. So let's get to the other part, which
Yeah,
is I'll share the landing page of the product
yeah,
that we're testing at the moment. Um, mhm. Just I'll put it in the chat section. Let me just find this first. Uh-huh. Just again, open it, and if you can share your screen again so I
yeah,
can see what you're reading, what you're looking at, that would be perfect. And yeah, just go for it, take your time, just see what is it, what is this product is about. And
yeah,
then mhm.
yeah. First, just quickly looking at what is what is exactly the difference and what it is. Think my first response to seeing this is it looks nice, but for my own blog, as said, I'm mainly using links or where it is a little bit smaller. So I would straight away think a little bit like, oh, it's really monetization focused
Mhm,
with
mhm,
larger content blogs. I like the AI part, always with a bit up there. I have the feeling that there are so many travel startups popping up using AI. So also getting a little bit lost in the number of times your content with something that is your newest holy grail to include.
mhm. So, in general, what this product is about, in your opinion? So, what does it do?
I have the feeling that you, well, don't know it exactly how it works, but I have the feeling that you can upload a link somewhere once you've finished. I feel, because it should already be online, and then it scans it automatically to on text, I assume, to see where you can include an affiliate link that matches your
Mhm,
content. Um, a question I would have of what I won't see is that also outside of the things you write, because I can imagine that you can scan, and if you see, oh, hotel, that gets a trigger. But for example, I never include something on an eSIM, but when it would really suit, and it's just an easy line, oh, by the way, there is a difference, your European SIM doesn't work, so include an eSIM. It is a sentence I can add really easily, but I wouldn't write it myself. So I'm wondering, would it
mhm,
then be picked up by the AI scan or not? Is it really based on what is already there, or also an additional sentences
mhm,
that you could add really easily, but otherwise wouldn't add?
mhm, mhm, mhm. Got it. So, and what's your overall impression? And in general, like, what's your overall, what do you think about AI tools in general and this specific one?
Yeah. I think AI works really well, and I think it is something to utilize more. As I said, also trying to use ChatGPT more. Also, still a little bit hesitant, and an ID I would, well, already have in mind. I think it was not long ago that many travel bloggers on Instagram were quite pissed at Meta, because they saw in recommendations that literal sentences were coming back. Well, that's, I think, a bit of a concern I would have, like an AI bot is scanning all of your content. What is happening with it? And will you see your content back at any other website, for example? Or if you see hotel recommendations in a post, will it recommend exactly the same hotels to me or to another travel blogger to maybe include in affiliates? And what does that do with your authenticity as bloggers? Or how do you decide what kind of hotels might maybe fit best?
So it's important for you so that this tool or any other AI tool would kind of see like what you blog about and what your content is about, and then suggest
Yeah,
something that is true to your content.
yeah,
Got it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh-huh.
Maybe, for example, if there are already articles with the best hotels, I think it gives a little bit of an idea of the type of hotels you might be recommending, the type of content you're recommending. I have the same with, I'm not the biggest fan of, I would say, in a get your guide kind of way of excursions, but some can be nice. And if it really has additional value to what you've already seen, then I include it. I don't include it just for the sake of monetization. So I think well, something that might be nice as well is if you can see how much do you want to monetize this page, and maybe that's already in there. But I wouldn't want an article full of links on every occasion, but just if there is a good match, then we can include something.
And like what is is there anything that kind of drew your attention from this page? Like any kind of, I don't know, um specific tool or some sentence that kind of
Yeah. Well, first thing I
drew your
saw
attention?
is 15,000 visitors a month, and where I was already really happy with my 2,000, but that's not where I am right now. So that drew my attention just quickly. I think that was the main thing I saw. I actually didn't get to this point. Um, I think here it's also a little bit more difficult, or at least I'm finding it more difficult to read. There's still some more specific words in a single text. So not in terms of text. This drew my attention in general, and I think just as the smart virtual assistant is something that also drew my attention. Like, okay, how would that then work exactly?
And as for this, the features, the tools that you see here, so can you tell me more about how you proceed them? So how do you think they work?
Yeah. Yeah, as said, I think first indication I would have is they're really big. What I personally don't really like for my blog. I hate pop-ups because they always show when you don't want it. I have the feeling, at least, and it's always difficult to find a cross to get it out of the way again. So personally, I'm not really a fan of the tooltips. I can imagine when it's a little bit smaller on the in-text, and if you can choose to only show it on desktop, that is something that might work well because you already have a bit of an ID. So that one I like. For the recommendation blocks, I think they're also quite. I like how it's set up because it really fits design of a website, and it doesn't feel like it's really affiliate. On the other hand, if this looks the same on every blog, that's also sometimes what I see everyone using the same theme and the same way of showing affiliate links. Personally, I don't like that, and I want to include it a little bit smaller or be able to really customize it, for example. And these are also quite general, where personally I'm more in the more specific ones. So you can include it with a recommendation, and it's really based on your own content, but with an affiliate push, more than, oh, by the way, you should book a flight, you should book a hotel, and that's it. To me, that feels a little bit too much. There is no real recommendation or value in that for the reader.
And I think like the last thing I want to ask about the Emerald product is it can help you change your, like, switch your articles or automatically. So what do you think about this? Oh, add links to your article automatically to your content. So what do you think about this kind of feature? So how do you feel about it?
First reaction is that it sounds a little bit scary because it feels like you're losing control over the articles you're writing. Um, I think it can be convenient when you can kind of accept it so that you get an okay, we want to add this link, yes or no, and
Mm-hmm.
at least you
Mm-hmm.
you can have a little bit control of what is happening, and you have an option to easily exclude it and run through and understand where they're putting in the links. Personally wouldn't like it if suddenly my whole article has links and I don't know which ones, and I have to check them manually to see what is this link. Is it actually something I would recommend myself? Otherwise, remove it. Otherwise, still look for a potential other option. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. 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 Okay, that's pretty it from my side. So I think I can stop the recording.